What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. No intro, just cold open. We're going to get right into it. And I did not know if I was actually going to sit here and make a video today on this. I wanted more information to come out because the way I operate is that I want all the information that is readily available when a story breaks so that I can go over everything, and I don't want to jump into the pool with the rest of the content creators who hear something and read something and then immediately go to make a video on it, and they have absolutely no information on anything. And more than likely, there is information that comes out in the hours after a story breaks or the days after a story breaks, but I have not heard anything. And to be quite honest with you, I don't want to waste my night that I have dedicated to myself to just do nothing for the first time in many weeks, to sit around and wait for a Vince McMahon story. So we're going to get right into it. I actually was on the road, and Jesse texts me, my guy Jesse, on Wednesday nights when we do Dynamite. Picking up my PC, he says, WTF. That's what he says in the text. I'm like, what happened? What did I do now? He sends me the link, and my day is ruined. Vince McMahon apparently is trying to make a comeback in the WWE. I didn't think that this was even a possibility. Now, it was always a possibility, but with all the information that we know about Vince McMahon and more news uncovered today, more allegations uncovered today, and how everything is now moving forward in WWE, life after Vince McMahon in WWE, nobody would think that this was even a possibility. The man should be in jail. The man should not be anywhere near a pro wrestling company. The man has done more damage than anybody to his own company, and he does not realize that. News broke today from the Wall Street Journal. Vince McMahon accused of assault in a 2011 California resort. Ex-WWE ref Rita Chatterton asking $11.75 million for an alleged 1986 rape. This comes from the Wall Street Journal, and they did receive a letter that Vince McMahon's representative gave them on November 3rd. A lawyer from the Rita Chatterton camp is asking for an $11.75 million settlement in damages. In 1992, Chatterton first publicly accused Vince McMahon of raping her in a limo in 1986. The letter from Chatterton's attorney states that she has suffered years of ongoing depression, substance abuse, disordered eating, lost income, and overall a decreased quality of life. In 1993, McMahon alleged that Chatterton was induced to make a false rape charge after her lawsuit was filed asking for $5 million. Now, also, McMahon's attorney received an email from an attorney for a former spa manager claiming that McMahon assaulted his client back in 2011 at a California resort. This was previously unreported by the media. The Wall Street Journal states that the former spa manager says she reported the alleged assault at the time to the resort, and she told her husband about the incident. Her husband reportedly drove to a WWE event to confront McMahon, but was turned away, according to people that Wall Street Journal spoke with. This allegation is separate from the 2006 allegation at a tanning salon in Boca Raton, Florida. Now, the Wall Street Journal stated also that spokesmen for WWE and the company's board of directors have declined to comment on this news broken today by Wall Street Journal. McMahon has also declined to comment, and WWE attorney Jerry McDevitt will not respond to requests at all in regards to these matters. So that came out in the Wall Street Journal. And then there was a follow-up report that Vince McMahon was planning on returning to the WWE. Now, after all of this news came out about Rita Chatterton and the California resort spa manager, we got Vince McMahon telling people that he plans on making a comeback in the WWE, and he reportedly told people that he received bad advice Get this, he was telling people that he got bad advice from people close to him, telling him to step down. McMahon also reportedly believes that the allegations and investigations would have blown over if he had stayed with the company. Delusional is Vince McMahon. This would have made things worse if he never stepped down. The company would be hemorrhaging right now. The company would be in one of the worst states that the company could possibly be in. This is all about Vince. This is all about what he wants, not about what WWE wants. What's best for WWE, Vince doesn't give a shit about it. If he does, he's fucking blind to the fact that we don't need him anymore. We don't need him. His time has come and gone. He should have been gone 15 years ago. He's 77 years old. What value creatively, on air, on screen, behind the curtain, does Vince McMahon give the company that we are not actively getting from Triple H and his administration right now? That's what I'd love to know. McMahon announced in July that he was retiring, but it was later stated in an official company filing that he ended up resigning. Prior to his resignation, McMahon told people that he had no intention of stepping down, and the feeling at the time was that he would continue running the company. That changed as more allegations came to light in the Wall Street Journal. Now, since McMahon's exit, Stephanie McMahon, Nick Khan, and Triple H, Paul Levesque, have taken over as key people behind the scenes. Paul Levesque is head of creative, and Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan are now co-CEOs of WWE. Vince McMahon is still, at this day, the majority shareholder of the entire company. I'm baffled by this report. I hope to God that this is not true. And I said it on Twitter. WWE or representatives for WWE should actively, immediately come out and say, listen, this is not what's going to happen. Vince is done. Vince is not going to be back. We need someone from the hierarchy of WWE to come out and state this, because this is not good. This is not good. And I'm actively worried. You know, I find it funny. You know, I've been reviewing Monday Night Raw, and I've been reviewing SmackDown. SmackDown obviously has been the better of the two shows. Monday Night Raw has been an absolute fucking chore to sit through as of late. It started off okay, and then it got better with Triple H taking over, and something somewhere is wrong about Monday Night Raw. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, you got to start blaming Triple H, JD. I'm sitting here mentioning Bruce, and I know Bruce doesn't have that much pull in WWE anymore, but it's very, very weird to me. Something seems off. Something feels off. I'm not saying that Vince is running the company, but something's not right. Then we get this documentary coming out tonight on Vice, 9 p.m., about Vince McMahon. The day that this documentary comes out, this news is breaking. Quite the coincidence. Now, we don't know what's going to be said or seen in this documentary. I don't believe it's going to paint Vince McMahon in a, oh my God, he's such a saint type of lights. I think there'll be some information in there that makes his situation worse. This Rita Chatterton situation's not going to go away. This hotel spa in California situation is not going to go away. If Vince McMahon comes back to the company, these things will be looming over him. Who knows what else is looming over him that has not been reported by the Wall Street Journal? Does WWE, does Nick Khan, does Stephanie McMahon, does Paul Levesque want to take a chance on Vince McMahon, giving him his spot back, which is fucking laughable, giving him his spot back, giving him power again, knowing that there may be more that has yet to been uncovered? Who knows what's out there? He'll get right back into position, and then things will be double as worse as it was in June. This is a bad, bad situation. Vince McMahon taking over WWE again, Vince McMahon being back in the WWE in any capacity, is the absolute worst move in the history of WWE. Whereas I was sitting here in June claiming to you guys, and it's still the case, Vince McMahon's removal and Vince McMahon being stripped of all creative power was the greatest move in WWE history. It was the greatest day in WWE history. And in the same calendar year, we are talking about not only him stepping down, but now him coming back. What was the greatest day in the history of WWE could turn out to be the worst day in WWE history. There's not one single fucking person in that company that wants Vince McMahon back unless they are Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon. Why don't we bring John Laurinaitis back if that's the case? If Vince McMahon is so fucking innocent, why don't we bring John Laurinaitis back? You won't bring Johnny Laurinaitis back though, right? No, but we want Vince McMahon back. This is fucking ridiculous. Ridiculous. We are now, as a fan base, settling into a Paul Levesque-led WWE. Things are changing. Whether you like it or not, whether you like Triple H's vision or not, things are better now than they were then. There's no fucking way anybody can tell me that they are worse now than they were with Vince McMahon. I have a list of things that I'm going to throw at you that I've been talking about for months that have actively been changed. None of these things that we're getting now, that we're enjoying, would be given to us if Vince McMahon was still in charge. Please understand that. There's nobody with a right mind that wants Vince McMahon back in this company. Vince McMahon is damaging the company with him in a creative role. Now that Triple H is there, things are somewhat normal. And I've said this before, do not expect change overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day. Triple H got in there right before SummerSlam, and things are actively changing. It might not feel it on Monday, but Friday is pretty much the best show on television weekly. SmackDown is leagues better than what it was when Vince McMahon was in charge. Monday Night Raw, it is a rough watch every week. It was a rough watch every week before Triple H took over, but that doesn't mean it is worse than what Vince McMahon was giving us. He's not going to change everything overnight. Vince McMahon has done so much damage in the last fucking 40 years, more so in the last 10, that it's not going to be until 2, 3, 4 years down the line that we're going to get what we want out of a Triple H-led WWE. It's not going to be fixed this year. It's not going to be fixed next year. But there's no fucking way you're going to sit there and listen to me and not feel that you're excited about a Royal Rumble booked by Paul Levesque. There's not any fucking person watching me right now that isn't excited about a Royal Rumble booked by Triple H, a WrestleMania season booked by Triple H, the fucking draft where he can absolutely wipe everything. Right now, we're still working under a Vince McMahon administered roster. You have to be excited about a potential draft. Triple H's vision for a WWE draft. NXT being a part of the WWE draft. Things realistically being turned upside down on their head for the better. You have to be excited about that. Vince McMahon coming in, we would not be excited about anything coming up. Vince would be giving us what Vince wants. Triple H is giving us what is needed, what the fans want. Vince McMahon damaged his company so poorly, so badly, that I didn't think this day would ever come. I didn't think his removal was ever going to come. Let's start with Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt's the biggest thing in WWE right now. Do you people listening to me honestly believe Bray Wyatt would even be back in WWE? All I hear is, oh, I love Bray, I love this, I love that, Uncle Howdy, the fucking cryptic vignettes and the QR code viral campaign. Do you think that we would have gotten any of that under Vince McMahon? Do you think Vince McMahon would have given Bray Wyatt a second chance in WWE? The answer is fuck no. Bray Wyatt would still be unemployed. Bray Wyatt may be talking to Tony Khan at this point. Bray Wyatt would not be given a second chance. Neither would Karrion Kross, neither would Dakota Kai, neither would Io Sky, Candice LeRae, Mia Yim, and everybody else that was brought back. Hit Row, who's not really anything right now on SmackDown. They're more like fucking shit row than hit row, but they were brought back. Tommaso Ciampa, all the stories that you read that Vince McMahon was about to bury Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship, or with the Intercontinental Championship, I should say, there's no reason for people to not believe those fucking stories. I believe every fucking word in those reports that he wanted to actively bury Gunther and send him back to NXT because he grew bored of Gunther. Would Vince McMahon put a priority on the Intercontinental and United States Championships? No. They need to right now, but Vince McMahon wasn't going to do so. All he cared about was his golden goose in Roman Reigns. Vince McMahon never gave a shit about the United States Championships and Intercontinental Championships. Not a single fucking care. On Triple H's night one, we got a video package on Monday for the United States Championship. On that Friday, we got one for the Intercontinental Championship in the same fucking vein. Would Vince McMahon have done that? No. They need to put priorities on these two secondary titles because they have the two world championships strapped to one guy. We would have gotten nothing. The height of Gunther. Look how great the Intercontinental Championship has been on Gunther. Look at the matches that he's churned out as Intercontinental Champion. I can't remember the last fucking time the Intercontinental Championship main evented a show. Never mind being on pay-per-view, which was the first time in over a year at Clash of Champions. You want Vince McMahon back? No. No, we don't. Seth Rollins, Austin Theory, Bobby Lashley, the United States Championship has been given a purpose. It's been given life on Monday Night Raw. It was a joke when Vince McMahon was in charge. What about LA Knight? What about LA Knight? Remember LA Knight, Max Dupree, Maximum Male Models? When was the last time we seen the Maximum Male Models? Now LA Knight's feuding with the hottest superstar possibly in all of pro wrestling in Bray Wyatt. And now he's doing what he should be doing. Wrestling, entertaining, giving us his brand, his value on WWE television. If Vince McMahon was in charge, we'd have fucking Mansoor and Dio Madden jumping around in fucking swimsuits because it gives Vince McMahon a hard-on. And LA Knight probably would have walked out for good. What about Judgment Day? You guys remember Judgment Day, right? All the stories about Judgment Day going supernatural. Vince and Bruce wanted them to go supernatural. They were dead to rights. As soon as Edge left the group, they were dead to rights. Do you think with Vince McMahon in charge, we'd be seeing Rhea Ripley and the height of her popularity right now? Do you think we'd be seeing the on-screen chemistry, which is one of the best things about Monday Night Raw, with Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio? Do you think that Finn Balor would look as good as he does now with Vince McMahon in charge? Would Judgment Day even be a thing now in WWE? Fuck no. They've become one of the best acts in WWE. They've become the best thing about Monday Night Raw when the Bloodline's not on there. So again, I ask you, would Vince McMahon be focusing on Judgment Day, Finn Balor, Rhea Ripley? We're talking about Rhea Ripley possibly winning the Royal Rumble. We're talking about Rhea Ripley maybe going to WrestleMania and challenging Bianca Belair for the Monday Night Raw Women's Championship. This is not a discussion if Vince McMahon is back. What about the Bloodline? What about the Bloodline? Sami Zayn, Usi, Honorary Us, right? Sammy Uso, Solo Sikoa. You think Vince McMahon would be booking Solo Sikoa the way Triple H is booking Solo Sikoa? Fuck no. The Bloodline storyline with Sami Zayn probably would have ended at Clash at the Castle. We wouldn't be going all the way till WrestleMania with it because Vince McMahon doesn't have a fucking clue. Vince McMahon's fucking memory span lasts 2 weeks. The reason why people were criticizing Vince McMahon, and the reports came out about it because I talked about it, Vince McMahon was growing dementia. He did matches week after week after week without knowing that he did it 3 weeks prior. So again, I ask you, do you think Sami Zayn in this fucking Uso storyline with the Bloodline, do you think we'd be getting Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn teaming up together against the Usos at WrestleMania? Do you think we'd be getting this long-term booking with the Bloodline? Fuck no. So again, I ask, what value would Vince McMahon bring back to the WWE that Triple H is not giving us? Pay-per-view changes. We got War Games with Survivor Series. He's going into WrestleMania season. I'm super excited about a Royal Rumble, an Elimination Chamber, a WrestleMania, a draft, Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, feeling like Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. There are talks about ending all gimmick pay-per-views. We had no pay-per-view in December. Money in the Bank is being talked about being moved back to WrestleMania. We're talking about King of the Ring coming back to the WWE, but you want Vince McMahon back in the company. I don't understand how anybody alive and breathing would want Vince McMahon back in the company. Becky Lynch. Not a big fan of Becky Lynch. I appreciate what she does and what she brings to the table, but Vince McMahon was the one who advocated for Becky Lynch to be a heel. What was the first thing that Triple H did with Becky Lynch at SummerSlam? He took her from being a heel to a babyface. We got big-time Bex, right? With Vince McMahon, and we got the man, Becky Lynch, with Triple H, which is absolutely the better of the two presentations for Becky Lynch. She was going nowhere. My hobbits and whatever the fuck she was talking about. She's still not really moved away from that. She's still kind of cringe, but there's nobody here that's actively listening to me thinking that Becky Lynch is better than the Becky Lynch that we're getting now. So that was a major change in the presentation of Becky Lynch. Would we get that change with Vince McMahon in charge? Fuck no. No, we would not. Imperium. Would Imperium be on the main roster? No. Would Legado del Fantasma be on the main roster? No. Santos Escobar probably would have been future endeavored at this point, along with all of the group. Would Zelina Vega be back on TV with Legado del Fantasma? No, she would not. Johnny Gargano. This man waited and waited and waited to come back to pro wrestling. It was either go to AEW or go back to WWE. The reason why he did not go to WWE when he wanted to was because of Vince McMahon. He was ready to go sign with AEW. What brought him back to WWE to sign with WWE? Triple H. William Regal went to AEW management, AEW executives, and told them personally, do not re-up my contract, do not extend my contract. He went to go talk to Tony Khan, gave him the spiel. He wants to go back to WWE to train and work and be around his friends, scout, coach, mentor. His son works for NXT. He was now given a vice president role in WWE. He is now second in command next to Triple H in WWE. He is Triple H's right-hand man. Would that be happening if Vince McMahon was there? Vince McMahon, no matter what William Regal wants to say in any podcast or interview, he could say all the most gleaming things about Vince McMahon. Who do you think facilitated and signed off on the termination? It was Vince McMahon. I don't care how Vince McMahon took care of William Regal. I don't care what he said, what he did, and everything in between. Vince McMahon signed off on the resignation, or the termination, I should say, of William Regal. Do you think William Regal would be back there now in WWE starting in January if Vince McMahon was in charge? No. No, he would not. We've seen a focus on tag team wrestling in WWE. Look at all the factions that we've gotten. I can't even fucking count how many factions there are. There are over 10 factions in WWE, trios in WWE, which translates to tag teams. We've seen more of a focus on tag team wrestling now with Triple H in charge. Would we be seeing a focus on tag team wrestling in WWE if Vince McMahon was in charge? Fuck no. The little things, like I mentioned, LA Knight, Austin Theory, no longer being called Theory, Ali, now Mustafa Ali, Butch, Instead of wrestling in a fucking paperboy outfit, he's now wrestling the way we remember Pete Dunne wrestling in NXT. Karrion Kross, Scarlett is back with Karrion Kross. The entrance is back with Scarlett for Karrion Kross. Backstage morale has been better than it ever has been in the last 10 to 15 years when Vince McMahon was there. Triple H has changed backstage morale. Talent is a little bit more loose, free to do and say what they want. They were given their cameos and their Twitch channels back. I don't know what else to tell you. I really don't know what else to tell you. And you all think there are people out there that think Vince McMahon being back in the company is going to be a better choice than what we're getting now. Do you realize that the company has not really changed aesthetically on television? The ratings haven't dipped. Maybe Monday Night Raw has, but I mean, that's always been a problem, even when Vince McMahon was there. SmackDown was the highest rated show for the entirety of that show in the last year, this past Friday. They almost did a 2.4 rating with Kurt Angle being back to celebrate his birthday. SmackDown has been trending up. Monday Night Raw, when Triple H was running the show before Monday Night Football, they were over at 2. So again, I ask, why would Vince McMahon need to come back when things are actually running just perfectly without him? What is he going to do that Triple H is not doing or hasn't done? Are we now thinking that Vince McMahon's going to come back in and change everything that Triple H has changed from the previous administration back to what it was? Vince McMahon already killed Black and Gold. Can you imagine if Vince McMahon comes back and kills everything Triple H did on the main roster? You thought the first heart attack was fucking bad. I don't understand how this is a fucking story. The man must be losing his mind. Go and find a hobby. Go and find a hobby. I don't understand why he needs to come back. I get it. It's WrestleMania season. He thinks, oh my God, I can't be without my WWE. I can't watch a WrestleMania without me involved. I get it. But that's the egomaniacal fucking dimwit that Vince McMahon is. He's going to let his own feelings get in the way instead of letting his family run the show, and he can't stand that. You think Vince is going to sit on the fucking sidelines and watch his son-in-law book a better WrestleMania than he has in the last 20 years? Because that's where we're headed. That's exactly where we're headed. He can't stand to watch his family do what he did and built this company. He can't stand to see them do everything he did better than him and potentially get better. If Vince McMahon walks back into that company, does anybody honestly believe he's not going to walk back in and take control over the entire fucking company again? What the fuck do you think he's going to do? He walks in there and it's doomsday all over again. He walks in there and he's assuming the position right when he had it, before all the investigation from the Wall Street Journal. He's going to assume that position in the company. You think he's going to just sit there and fucking let Triple H run the fucking show? You think he's going to sit there and let William Regal make executive decisions? I don't understand this. Vince, I've said this for years. Vince is not going to be happy until WWE is fucking dead. Vince McMahon, I can't even stress to you how many times I've said this. Vince would rather kill WWE himself than watch it succeed and flourish under anybody else. He can't stand it. He would rather fucking come back and destroy it. That would make him happy. He would rather that than watch his son-in-law and his family run it better than he did. If there's one thing that we all realize during this entire 6-7 month span that Triple H has been in charge, we don't need WWE being run by Vince McMahon. The stocks, they've been up. They were down today with this fucking news, but they've been up. They trended over $80 a share not too long ago. They're down to what, $73, $74 a share now? The stocks have been up. It's the highest that they've been in a very long time. They didn't dip. They didn't dip when Triple H took over. Everybody was like, oh my God, the uncertainty of Vince McMahon not being there. The stocks went up. The board of directors, they were all happy with what Paul Levesque was doing. USA Network came out and said that they are absolutely over the moon about what Triple H is doing. Fox is over the moon. Why would anybody, any of the partners that work with WWE, want this maniacal, evil fucking man back in the company? I know you don't. I fucking don't want him. We don't need Vince. The company's being run fine. The company will be run fine. There's one thing that we know at this stage of the game, going into Royal Rumble season, is that WWE doesn't need Vince McMahon. That man needs to stay the fuck away, as far away as humanly possible. And the board of directors needs to come out immediately. Somebody in WWE needs to come out immediately and dead this situation before it gains any fucking steam. If WWE allows Vince McMahon back, the company is fucking dead. There are fans that actively did not watch when Vince McMahon was in charge because Vince McMahon was in charge. The ratings increase with Triple H in charge isn't a fucking coincidence. We haven't seen any drastic change yet. The reason why they're up is because it's not Vince McMahon. You bring Vince McMahon back, you're going right back to where you started. We are slowly but surely taking steps forward in a hopeful WWE. You bring Vince McMahon back, this is something that the company will never recover from. Nobody wants Vince McMahon back in the WWE, and I know you feel the same way. Thank you guys for watching today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and turn on the bell for all notifications. And please follow me on social media at JD from NY206 on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. I will be live tomorrow night with AEW Dynamite with my partner Jesse right here on Off the Script. We'll see you guys later.